That's the nice and simple setup to get that control and damage off from the side of OB.Neon. You do still worry about the disruption save, but if you jump to Shadow Demon, he can't save anyone, so you can kind of just play around that. The Night Stalker Mirana lane is something we have seen before. Not necessarily the most aggressive lane, because you don't have the best arrow setup with the Night Stalker slow. Not necessarily easy to land the arrow, but you can just play the standard Mirana lane, arrow to range creep, arrow to large camp if possible, gain EXP, and then look for a rotation elsewhere with a Bane down the line. So, still fairly open for Neon to kind of run that lane. Execration do go immediately into the Slark along with a Pangolier. So they've got their own solution on hand, looking like we are maybe going to see the Pango support along with the Shadow Demon. Maybe a Pango 5, Shadow Demon 4. The Slark is pretty good against the nice and tanky frontliner and the Night Stalker. You do have a self-dispel on hand with the Dark Pact. So the control doesn't feel too scary as long as you do manage to hit that Q button fast enough. The control from OB.Neon might fall flat, even if I believe it can dispel Fiend's Grip as well. If I believe it is a strong dispel, so you're gonna have to time your control right and jump the Slark exactly at the right moment to prevent him from slipping away. And that does give Execration a lot to play with for Tino. Again, with Tino on hand, he has taken a more active position, and he has managed to actually really play around with Execration's lineup quite well, despite being sort of a stand-in for now. So let's see if he does get that same game with the Slark in this case.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, as a Bane spammer, John, I really don't like playing against Slark, because Dark Pact does indeed purge off Fiend's Grip, which is complete garbage. But that's exactly what happens. And yeah, you just end up wasting this huge cooldown, because he pressed Q, and he has like a 4-second cooldown or something on Dark Pact. So there you go. It's not very fun for the Bane, but it won't matter, because I think as the Bane, you are probably going to be aiming the Pango this game, or even the Keeper of the Light. You've got the Night Stalker to deal with the Slark anyway. Like, once you hit that mid-game, get a blink up with the Night Stalker, jump in with the Crippling Fear. That's probably going to be more than enough to actually deal with the Slark from Execration. I do believe the Keeper of the Light is going to be your main source of issue here for OB.Neon. As we saw it in Game 1 of the whole day. It was Moon playing it, and he seems exceptionally good at playing that mid-coddle, but the amount of damage that will just fly out at you constantly on such a low cooldown in an area, healing up the enemy team as well. To make matters worse, he's healing his allies while destroying yours. Just, I mean, who cares about the Slark? You gotta kill this old man on a horse first. He's the real problem.
Yeah, I think the Puck is actually a really good solution to that. So you can jump the back line, you've got a good silence on hand, you're fairly mobile. So it's going to be hard for Execration to actually catch the Puck out. Like, their control is what? Pounce and Disruption. Maybe Rolling Thunder counts as well, but it's very hard to hammer a Puck with Rolling Thunder. So you should have a lot of room here for Mikato to zip in and out. And I think that is the one worry for Execration. I don't see an off-lane pick that can slide through that gives them enough control to hold back this Puck. Maybe a Legion Commander with duel, maybe a DK with a fast blink could work out, but you don't really have the combinations to make the DK super powerful here. You don't have the Mirana on your side, so I'm not sure if that's something they want for Raging. I suppose there's still the Sand King for Raging. We have seen him play that hero a ton. One of his more impactful heroes we see overall. That can slide through, but we haven't seen too much Sand King in the past week, so maybe not. They do go with the Ember, so it's an off-lane Pango, a support Keeper, a mid-Ember, and a safe-lane Slark. So we're not seeing the mid-Coddle, which, to be fair, when you think about Bob as a player, it doesn't really fit his playstyle, right? Like, this is a guy who loves playing aggressive, who loves playing flashy. The Keeper of Light can be flashy, but it's not flashy in the sense that you're moving around, juking and jiving. And I think the Ember fits that playstyle more for Bob. You do have the Keeper of Light Ember combination. Chakra, Sleight of Fist is still strong. So there's still something to play with there for Execration.
When I heard you say not aggressive, I was like, well, hold on a goddamn minute, John. Keeper of the Light is, whoa, wait a minute, Anti-Mage comes out. Alright, so I wasn't expecting this from OB.Neon. Anti-Mage to be picked up, 458. We've seen this man on the AM before, and it can be quite an excruciating experience playing against his Anti-Mage, so going back to a bit of a comfort pick here for OB.Neon's carry. It does seem like a decent enough AM game as well. You kind of talked about the lack of lockdowns here against Makoto, and now you've got another hero in 458's AM that you've got to try and lock down indefinitely. because you are slowly going to be ticking away at that HP pool of this anti-mage. And yeah, the AM, it does feel like it could be a very good game for him.
It can be. He's going to have to hold out in his lane, though, as it looks like we're getting a Raging Potato off-lane Kotl. So you're still going to hit the farm timings here. It's not... Actually, let me think about it. It should still be really good, because you still have the side camps to play with. It is a bigger camp, which means early on it's not going to be easy to clear out. But once you get level 3 Illuminate, it should be an issue building up the farm. So there is ways of playing that, and that might force the AM to go for the counter spell just to sustain the lane. He does not have a lot of HP. If he doesn't get magic resist here, Raging Potato can actually bully out early on. Like, Blink is a long cooldown. You're not necessarily able to chase the Keeper Flight with his stupid move speed and kind of just harass him out with a Mana Burn. So I think this actually pans out for Execration, going for the core Kotl anyway, but on the off. We'll have to see if 458 can hold out in that extreme amount of damage early on.
It's going to be a very interesting game, John, but you know the question that's coming. Game number 1, OB.Neon Execration, they just drawed a couple hours ago. Who's got the better draft in this game 1?
It's pretty close. I would lean towards Neon, just because the Puck and the AM look like they have a really good game outside of laning, especially for 458. The laning phase is the hardest part for the AM here. As long as they can ride that out, the control coming through from Execration doesn't feel amazing to hold down Puck and AM. Their scaling here is still nice with a Slark, but the AM can actually just flash farm quicker once the Battle Fury's met. So I think OB.Neon has a simpler game plan. They have the Night Stalker to kind of run around with come mid-game. They've got the Bane Mirana combination with the arrow set up, and they still have options to be aggressive. Whereas for Execration, you have to really get your control on point to lock in either the Puck or the AM. It's not both as well. You can only afford to, in a bigger engagement, to hold down one, and that can make it a bit tougher to kind of find those wins.
Fair enough. I think it should be a pretty decently close matchup between these two. It kind of depends on how good of a game Raging's going to have in this keeper, though. Like, he's not going to have the mid lane, so you're not going to have that crazy XP kind of bonuses coming in, but you're certainly going to have the amazing gold influx coming in here for Raging. And this man, he can be very influential on his team on any given day. He could just play like an absolute rock star, no matter what the hero, so very curious to see how he's feeling today.
30 seconds.
Nice little D ward out there for Bob as well, so a bit of bonus gold going his way. Easy ward out. Kodo now going to have to play without one. He won't mind too much though, he's been in this the situation before, it happens.
Yeah, he should still have a really favorable lane matchup anyway. Ember versus Puck. Puck still manages to get farmed. The Ember can draw even, so it's not like you're going to completely lose out here on Bob. He should still be able to hold the farm. No big scuffles over the runes, although a nice sneaky play from 458 does secure a third bounty rune here. So just managing to dance around, give his team a nice early start. And we've got the traditional Southeast Asian pause.
Smoko. Everyone's out for a smoko. Quickly, just get a quick cigarette in before we still have a chance. It's 458. I mean, he had some discipline there, John. A courier ran right past him. He had about 2 seconds to hit it. Didn't bother going for it. He went for the bounty rune. So a man that's thinking about his team. Very good to see here for 458. I'll be quite frank, John. I would have gone straight for the courier. I want that courier gold immediately. Even if the bounty does give me more. It's all about defeating the enemy and their mind state.
It's fair enough. But that's exactly why you're not a pause one player, Mike.
Or a pro.
Exactly it. But still, talking about 458, we were having a talk about Neon's roster shuffle, right? And when we came to the topic of 458, he was always like this really amazing player on 496, right? It's always hard to say the two names back to back, but he was always like a star player in 496, and it was in that peak time when 496 looked amazing last year. Their peak lineup did have 458. We'll have to see if he can reach that peak performance. Again, so far it's been looking good, although that draw against Execration does leave a question in our mind in this matchup. You see an early scuffle over the wards. Nice movement out from BDC to cut it off. But you will see, of course, the AM lane being held 458 up against Raging Potato. Early on, the Illuminate will be annoying. So the magic damage can melt AM. He doesn't have a high amount of HP, decently high at least right now with the 3 branches. But it might force 458 to have to consider Counterspell just to hold the lane steady.
Yeah. On the same token, though, like once you've got level 6 up on 458, in fact, never mind that for a second, because bot lane, first blood does already occur, are able to secure the kill there onto Hustler. It's a nice pick up there for the Shadow Demon. And of course, Shadow Poison did get buffed recently, and quite frankly was always quite strong early on in the laning stage. So takes advantage of it immediately, secures himself first blood.
Yeah, and that's the one issue with the Mirana in this lane. With the Night Stalker, you don't have too much forward presence in the first, I'd say, 3-4 levels. Don't feel amazing until maybe first night for Xiao Yu. So you don't have as much pressure to apply onto the Shadow Demon. You can't really cut him off as a Mirana. All you can hope for is to arrow a large creep or a ranged creep in this case for Hustler and kind of go from there. Without the leap, you will be very susceptible to that Shadow Poison. RR just shows us why you gotta respect that Shadow Demon. Damage output is ridiculous at level 1.
Oh, it absolutely is. So over in the mid lane, we kind of already talked about this one, but Makoto and Bob kind of going at it. Bob right now in the lead in terms of CS, having a pretty nice old time. And Makoto, he's trying to get the harassment out, but Bob very, very good at kind of just avoiding a lot of those hits. And well, in the end, he does have the bottle up now, so in fact, both mid laners do. It's very hard to see either one getting bullied out until you hit those level 6 marks. If I could go back up towards the top lane for a second, John. I was talking about 458 in his level 6 timing. And the thing is this Coddle, you are going to build 3 nullifiers. Or excuse me, 3 null talismans. So you're going to have a pretty darn big mana pool. That mana void, it is going to hurt you if 458 can make the jump in when you have no mana.
Dire's top tower
Yeah, that's
is
the
under
one thing
attack.
Raging will have to watch for. But the gap closing from the AM makes that really easy to achieve as well. You could maybe get the blinding light up at that point and just try to blind him if you do get your level 6 timing matched up against the AM, but you just have to watch yourself. Always have to bounce that man pool a bit better. 458's doing a good job of just avoiding Illuminates as well, and he's still at the top of CS, so he's not really being bullied out by this offlane Coddle, and if you can't really zone out the AM, then this ends up being a relatively free lane. If Illuminate doesn't land, your right-click harassment isn't amazing. BDZ's just trying to cut off Bane. You don't tend to go for Swash too early on. So, you know, you deal with that one Coddle issue, AM, Battlefield timing should line up.
That it should. Bob trying to get aggressive here onto Makoto, just feeling a little bit more confident on December. Meanwhile, top lane, 458 going to go on to Raging. They set up with the Nightmare, but disarms are coming in from BDZ to try and help out. Raging going to give the Chakra over. BDZ going to keep moving. Another disarm available, 458. He's going to stick charge and is going to be able to make it. That's a nice little play from Raging to give the mana to BDZ to be able to cast his Shield Crash and force 458 to have to back.
Yeah, it's one of those things for the Pangolier. If you get a couple of lucky hits, the trades feel really nice, and you know, you manage to play around with this bait game now. If you force 458 to go for harassment onto BDZ, you can stay in the fog, get the Illuminate, get the damage. You can see how low 458 drops from one charge Illuminate. Drops to half. You have to watch yourself. Still John Yuel.
Uh-oh. He's going to get blown up. BDZ and Raging really doing some damage now. And Januel on the Bane just cannot sustain himself through the level 2 Illuminate and the Shield Crash. Mid lane, Makoto on Bob really dropping quite low here on the Ember and Puck. Looks like Makoto's going to be left with no bottle charges, but he's going to orb his way over to the Bounty Rune. Should be able to fill himself up. In fact, never mind that. The Bane's going to come over and Januel will get it done for him.
Yeah, you're about to hit those level 6 spikes on the mid heroes as well. Slightly earlier here for Bob, so he's going to have the remnants to threaten with. He does opt for a max sleight of fist build. So going 0-3-2, prioritizing the dodge potential and the physical damage output. Again, lining up with the usual Orb of Corrosion, Phase Boots timing. This could be pretty painful though. Oh, no TP cancel on Januel, unfortunate.
Just didn't have the vision to the last second. Januel would have loved that, but nighttime does make it a little bit challenging. Bottom lane, RR getting dived right now. Xiao Yu, he'll probably keep going for this, but Tino, he started to get to work, and now BDZ's going to rotate. So they're going to force both to back out. Xiao Yu, oh, he is going to go down the Shadow Poison. The amount of damage that RR's pumping out right now with those, just ridiculous. And BDZ with the swashbuckle at the tail end of that, just added on enough damage to actually secure the kill.
Yeah, I think it's around 610 damage without reduction on 5 stacks. with Shadow Poison at level 2, so you do have to watch yourself. Again, you have nighttime, you've got a little bit more movement, but you don't really have the free patting until level 6, so it's still relatively easy for the Shadow Demon to keep those stacks up. Still up top.
Raging. Be Nightmare up. Genuel will kind of prep the kill, but no, he'll take it himself. So 458 in the end doesn't really get much for his time. He'll get a salve out of Genuel. He'll just, the Bane will just leave, acting as if nothing ever happened. It's now Xiao Yu. Bot lane is going to be chased down again by BDZ. This time around, they only have one stack of Shadow Poison, so no real threat on Xiao Yu's life.
Yeah, can't quite go in for the kill, but they are giving a decent amount of space to Tino to keep his farm game up. He is behind the AM by about 6-7 last hits, so a full wave ahead there for 458. That should lead to his Battle Fury timing lining up, but the Slark is a more active hero early on. So once the Echo Saber's up, maybe you see the Diffusal Blade as well, you can start running around. You are hitting the power spikes for OB.Neon though. Level 5 on Xiao Yu, nighttime's up, just needs level 6, and then maybe you can start applying some pressure elsewhere.
Raging's starting to have a really rough time with this top lane. Like, you look at this Coddle, he's not really able to get too close. The 458 continuously trying to go for the big dives in and just to chase this keep it down. Bottom lane, Pounce is there. Looks like they do end up finding Hustler. The Mirana going to drop Bob. Makes his rotation. First one of the game from our Ember. It does pan out on a kill for himself, so he'll be happy. He's right back to the mid lane now. It's Makoto. He's heading up top, so they're going to try and set up onto Raging and BDZ again. Genuel, still at the level 3 mark, won't have the Fiend's Grip. And it seems as though they are going to scare them far enough back that Makoto is not really going to be able to initiate and secure a kill here for the team. And he'll also rotate back into the mid lane. I mean, maybe they could set up onto Bob, but well, Arrow's not going to be on the mark, and Dream Coil obviously wasn't there either. Back into that triangle now. But Raging, he's out of it. They can't reach with the Nightmare. So a lot of wasted time by OB.Neon, and they're just not finding the pickoffs they're looking for.
They do manage to get some key jungle blocks. The large camp is still blocked in the triangle. They block the Ancients after 2 stacks. So it's not too bad. The rotation is scanned out. So that should provide protection to Bob. Probably play a bit safer here as Mirana and our Bane are looking for that Nightmare into Arrow combination. They will smoke up, so maybe eyeing top instead.
What are they going to find, though? I mean, 458, he's not the easiest kill in the world. Raging, BDZ, well, they're going to find the Pango. Arrow, going to be there. Nice, easy setup. Do they have enough damage? BDZ, he's still alive, but eventually does go down as now Bob. Great chains out on 2, but it was only a level 1 chains. So duration not that long, but he is at least going to be able to trade supports here. Rotation does pay off for him in the Ember. Makoto, Hustler still around. They might be able to try and turn this back the way of the Ember, but Bob, he's going to back off at the right time. And it looks like there's more heroes TPing top. BDZ will fill up the bottle of Bob. And Bob's going to try and see if he can find 458.
They've got to put a bit more of a lid on that AM, as he is still getting steady progress towards the Battle Fury. The tier 1 is dropping low, and 458, it's still alone.
Yeah, I mean, only level 1 chains, though, just makes it really hard to lock him down long enough. Yeah, I mean, Bob, he's going to just commit to the tier 1 top tower push. Problem is the mid tier 1's being pushed in, and now Coil and Nightmare are there. They've got BDZ on the Pango. Where's your damage, though? Disruption is out to save RR. He has not bought enough time. BDZ will drop. And OB.Neon, they've seen enough. They'll back right after.
They're starting to get that aggression out on OB.Neon's side. While all of that's done, Bob does manage to clear out the top tier 1. So they do get a tower in the end, and that should open up the map a bit more. They can invade the top jungle, prevent stacks from being built up. Not that there are many stacks anyway. In fact, there are no stacks built up by Neon in that area. Looks like they are much more keen and just running aggressive, knowing that the AM can't clear stacks until Battle Fury timing. So there's no one really to make use of it. And they just choose to instead buy space by running around the map. We are almost at the Witchblade timing here for Makoto. So his damage output's going to skyrocket in a short time. But the same thing goes for Bob. Phase Boots and Orb Corrosion is up with a max sleight of fist. He is hitting really hard physically. That is something to watch out for. We know how Bob plays on the Ember. He does like to start popping off with just a couple of small items up.
We need to get doing that pretty soon, John. Fiend's Grip is right there. Genuel already catching him out. Arrow, it was hitting a neutral creep, I think, and Bob, it won't matter. He's probably still going to die. Remnant was there, but it just wasn't enough as Tino. He's going to try and turn onto Xiao Yu. He'll go onto Hustler instead, but he'll just sleep away. Xiao Yu, well, they'll have the Dream Coil Makoto. He'll lock down the Slark and wait out the Shadow Dancer's Hustler. Is eventually going to be able to land the arrow to secure the kill. I mean, you lost your Bane, but it's well worth it for the mid-Ember and the safe lane Slark.
Yeah, they punished that early aggression from Execration. I'm surprised Tino opted to show up. He doesn't have the full Echo Saber up yet, so he doesn't have the additional strength. He doesn't have that double hit to really start building some early stacks to get more damage in. And they get punished for it. OB.Neon, this is a ton of space, right? While all of that movement happens from Execration, 458 is still playing bot by himself. There's no one to contest this AM's farm. And it kind of boils back to that point that Execration has a bit of a control issue to catch out the puck and the AM. So they know they can't fully commit on the AM yet. And that just means this Battle Fury is really not going to be too bad. It was a slower lane. It's not the fastest Battle Fury, but it's going to be up nonetheless, unless this rotation pays off.
It may. Bob. Wrong Thunder's going to be there. Chains to lock him down. 458. He'll blink away in BDZ. Will not be able to make it in time. And again, those level 1 chains are kind of haunting Bob right now, as he's just not able to lock anyone down long enough to actually get any form of substantial damage. OB.Neon, they'll rotate as well. Bob, he's not safe, but he will TP out of the tree line. Very wise, as Genuel was looking for the Nightmare on the Bane. And instead now, Boom, or rather OB.Neon, excuse me, are going to move over into the mid lane as Bob, he might be targeted. Nightmare is there. Arrow, it is going to be on target, but it looks like with the coddle around, they aren't going to try and go any further. Let Bob go. And in the end, Bob really just took no damage.
Protected by level 3 Flame Guard. Very hard to burst down magically. And they do have a nice spike here on Execration. They've got the Dagon up on Raging, so he can start dishing some damage. No Solar Bind, so no magic res reduction. Not bursting down for silly amounts yet, but with Max Illuminate, this could still pan out. So you see Tino, Echo Saber up, is taking a more aggressive stance in that top jungle, clearing out the camps there, playing the opposite side of the AM, trying to play this farm game. For now, he is lagging slightly behind on our AM. Just boils down to mobility. The AM can jump through camps a lot quicker than the Slark can. Battle Fury for 458, speaking of that AM, is almost up. Just about 300 gold short. And that's when the farm game will start to lopside towards OB.Neon, just because AM is going to be faster than Slark with Battle Fury. It's just the way it goes. Tino now, he's almost reaching that point where he might want to take some early activity, but again, he still needs something more beyond just the Echo Saber. Maybe the SNY, maybe the Diffuse will come through, but a +1 item before really looking to commit.
Still a very quiet period between these two teams. We haven't really seen either team going really hard into these team fights. Both of them just kind of sitting back and biding their time. You kind of feel like it does favor 458 and OB.Neon for this kind of slow game to play out. 458 now really going to start escalating on this anti-mage. Well, OB.Neon, they've got their ultis up. They're going to group up, but it's a smoke-on-smoke scenario. The Dark Ascension is there, but the roots are out as well. So Xiao Yu will be forced to back, but they've got the Fiend's Grip back in onto BDZ. They'll try to knock them away with the Blinding Right, but Genuel is still going with the Fiend's Grip, and eventually BDZ, he will finally drop, but they do at least kill Genuel. Xiao Yu and Makoto, they're going to go in onto the backlines, onto that Shadow Demon. Disruption will bide his time. Makoto, though, will still be able to secure the kill. As towards the south, Raging's been chased down now, but he has the Dagon up, and Xiao Yu, he'll be forced to back, or maybe not. He'll go back in onto Bob, abusing that flying ability as they go in onto the Ember and they get the kill. He was halfway up the cliffs, they couldn't actually hit him. Tino, he will still get the pounce in the end and eventually get his revenge, getting a double kill on the Slark. So ultimately, it wasn't really too bad for Execration, but it is still a 3-for-4 trade favoring OB.Neon.
in the end, you lose 2 more cores than OB.Neon did, so it's a bit more painful losing out in Kotl, losing out in the Ember. The Ember especially needs more items up. I mean, with the phase boots and Orb of Corrosion, the damage is great. He needs protection from that control. He needs the BKB. Even with that BKB, you still have to worry about the Fiend's Grip, but that will force Johnny to choose his target as well down the line. Tino, 5 Agi stacks up, 5 permanent Agi stacks up, going for the Shadow Blade, flying out next. So he's going to have a little bit more dodge capability there and forward scouting capability as well, as long as he plays his cards right.
Where's 458 though? Yep, just farming, just hitting creeps, as every anti-mage does. I mean, all props to Tino though. He's doing a really darn great job of keeping up in net worth. He's only about 400 gold behind the anti-mage. And now he's actually going to run right into 458, who does spot him out with a sentry, and he's just going to blink away. So Tino, feeling very confident, even by himself, to make that rotation to the triangle. In some ways, he does force 458 to just kind of go into hiding for a little while. There's bot lane, Hustler. He's going to force Tino out of the tree line, but Hustler was somewhat alone. Genuel going to try for the TP, but the Rolling Thunder is there. BDZ will be able to cancel in time, and Tino will get himself another sweet, sweet kill, and even more Agi.
Yeah, 6 Agi stacks up early on. Good amount of additional damage and armor coming out for Tino. And does set up for that early aggression to line up with a Shadow Blade. I think OB.Neon are still happy about this pace of game though. Again, as long as you're farming on the AM, you know, you're kind of set. You're going to hit this timing with the Manta style up. You're going to be very hard to catch out. The lack of control from Execration will start to become a problem once these bigger team fights break out. Execration needs to find more objectives here to start shutting down the map holder strong.
I mean, they popped the Moonlight Shadow. Tino, he's got the Dark Pact. They are still going to move in with the Crippling Fear, and they're trying to blow him up, but the disruption is there to save Xiao Yu. He couldn't hold him down long enough, and Tino's just fine. As the mid-tier 1 tower is still being chipped away at. They'll leave it for a bit. They'll try to secure themselves a kill, but ultimately won't be able to get Hustler. Xiao Yu still has plenty of time. Nice Dream Coil is there to lock them down. Shadow Dancer will be committed. Tino is still alive and will be able to escape. So even though there was a great Dream Coil there by Makoto, it leads to nothing. But I suppose at least they still hold on to that tier 1 mid tower.
It's a successful defense from OB.Neon. Unfortunately, the tower's not in deny range, so there's still an opportunity for Execration to look to shove in, get the gold for themselves, or at least force the deny out. And once you kind of take that mid-tier 1, the map does open massively. You can start dipping into the jungle confidently. You can start planting more wards in the triangle where 458 is farming up. You can start to go against the AM draft, because they're going to be playing 4v5 for a while, although, you know.
Get caught out. Fiend's Grip is going to be committed. Arrow is also there, but BDZ is around with the Rolling Thunder. It just won't be enough. Nice attempt. Genuel, he'll get the tips from his teammates. It was a really nice setup there on the Bane, and it's one of the strengths of Bane, John. You can set up for your team on a pos 1, and it can work out as even bot lane. Bomb! Ooh, gets caught out by Xiao Yu and 458. Again, the pos 1 and 2 of Execration end up going down.
And you're starting to build up a noteworthy lead here on OB.Neon. 4K up now. Lots of that farm going to 458 and Mikado. So you're not sacrificing your Puck's farm to get your AM up and running. The Manta style's up for 458, so the control coming through from Execration, it's going to be an issue, right? Like, they are finding these pickoffs on the Mirana, on the Bane, on the Night Stalker every now and again, but catching the Puck, catching the AM, it's going to be a tall order. And as soon as 458 feels comfy enough to join these fights, maybe once the Scotty's up, I don't know how you kind of deal with that. Like, yeah, you're still strong with your Kotl. He's got Travels, he's got the Windlace, he's moving at 539, right off the mark of the max move speed. He's got good burst with a Dagon 1-up, not quite enough to really melt heroes. Yeah, they will go for a smoke though.
Who are they going to find? 458, he'd be a great target, but he's got the Manta up now, so it's going to be even more difficult to try and hold this anti-mage down. Instead, it's into the mid lane. Hustler, he's definitely a target. They'll chain him up and just blow him up. Nice pick up there from Execration. That is only a position for Mirana, but it's something. In the meantime, though, the rest of OB.Neon, they are still just freely farming up. And again, the main cause of concern is going to be 458, who is now working towards that Eye of XctN. And quite frankly, with the rate he's farming at, it's not going to take him too long to have it completely up.
Yeah, it's going to be really fast, considering how much space this AM has been given. He's just on the opposite side of all of these engagements. He's very disciplined enough on 458 to not join these fights. He knows what he needs to do for his team. Just farm, get the item advantage, and carry through from there. He is actually switching over to a BKB build, so opting to maybe just join in immediately after that, realizing that, you know, if I just kind of avoid all the spells from the Kotl and avoid the small control they have over him, he's going to be set. So, good item timing's coming out. Dark Ascension, though.
They saw Raging Potato, and that's the target they really want here on that Keeper. Dream Coil right on the edge by Makoto, but it does land. Disruption. Has some time for Raging, but he is certainly going down. The Brain Sap will prove to be enough. Bob still looking to move in with his BKB, but they get the Nightmare off and they have a Fiend's Grip, but they'll go for the arrow first. They'll save the Fiend's Grip for later. Tino's going to move in. Bob, he's still alive. Fiend's Grip is there. It has got BDZ, but nobody's attacking him, and eventually the disruption will save his Nightmare. Is there from Januel, but it will not save his own life. But Tino, he's gone too far. Bob, Tino, and BDZ all going down. Xiao Yu, the one who gets tipped, is now RR. He's not safe either. He's going to try and TP, but they have the TP cancellation with the arrow. And it's into the mid-tier 1 tower.
Yeah, doesn't take too long for them to clear it out. Execration, Bob being held down that far forward is not what you want to see. The grip did go out to someone else, but they dropped Bob low enough that they didn't have to grip him. They just had to stop the Rolling Thunder. They managed to find the right target's control, and now 458 is comfy enough to show up in fights. BKB is not up yet. The gold's not too far off. So he's still going to hit that timing well, and 458.
458. A bit of danger. Rolling Thunder is going to connect. He has the blink up now. Do they even have the damage to take him down? But with the chains, they just might. He'll try to survive, but it's not enough. So in the end, he just could not get the blink off, and they definitely have the damage to burst him down. And you can see he's already queued up that BKB, realizing that's probably the next step to really ensuring they keep this game alive for themselves.
Yeah, he just needs to be a bit more patient before jumping into 2-3 heroes by himself there. I think with the rest of the team, the BKB might be not necessary considering the backup he has, but by himself, needs that added protection. Manta style just won't cut it fully. We'll almost make that move on to Bob. Fortunately, quicker fingers on Bob. He has used his first BKB charge, so it's down to 8 seconds. Still really impactful, but he needs more damage. He's going for the physical Ember build, emphasizing the minus armor. Desolator next. Once that's up, his output onto the AM specifically is going to feel a lot better. Still Moonlight out from OB.Neon here.
Oh, did I just hear a BKB? Yeah, Pop. I mean, yeah. You said it was 8 seconds, John. Now it's 7. So Bob maybe just wanting to prove the caster wrong. It does do so. Moonlight Shadow won't work out. They were trying to chase down Raging Potato, and eventually they're going to smoke up anyway. So they're going to try again. I'm sure they know exactly where Execration are kind of hanging around, and in fact, they don't even need to guess. They are right now into the mid lane, underneath an Observer Ward. So Bob, he does get scouted out. Genuel, he'd love a great Fiend's Grip. They are going to bullwhip him up, trying to get him in range of this Ember, and Makoto will get enough vision for the Fiend's Grip to fly out, and they'll have the damage. No help for Bob. Nice big kill there on the Embers. Now they'd love to get a bit more. Xiao Yu is going to spot out RR and Raging Potato, but they won't dive tier 2 towers. Not quite yet. Instead, though, they have found a Pango. BDZ getting caught with his pants down, does end up dropping.
Good set of kills coming out from OB.Neon. Great reveal on the burst damage of Mikado. He's got the Dagon up. So we've got the duel of the Dagons.
Oh, nice coil.
Tino,
he's going to break the leash. Have the Dark Pack going. Makoto just going to get to work anyway. Tino, he does not have faith in being able to escape. And like you said, John, a nice little Dagon there on Makoto. So we're into like Harry Potter now. It's like Voldemort versus Harry between Raging and Makoto. Is it a Dagon meta, John? Is that what we've come to now? We just expect Dagons to be starting to get built up on every mid laner?
Well, I don't think it's the Dagon meta. I know a specific person who'd love to hear that. Still, Raging.
Almost dies. Nightmare does actually lock him down, but it is going to be taken off. The urn charge was there, but Raging should survive through it. Meanwhile, Makoto, he got chained up, but Orb is going to fly back the way of the Kodo, and there's your Dagon. Still, they got RR as well, but they are going to lose Makoto for this. However, Bob is also going to go down to 458, who does now join in this team fight. BDZ, he's going to try and use the roll-up and get himself out, and it will be enough. But they lost 4 for 1.
Radiant's top tower
I believe
is
Makoto
under
was the only one to really go down on the puck. And in the end, he still managed to Dagon Raging. Which is, I'm sure, all he wanted anyway.
Radiant structures are fortified.
Yeah, that's it. You just want to be the winner of the duel of the Dagons. They do manage to find the bigger kills anyway, despite sacrificing the puck for 3 for 1. Very good trade coming out for the side of OB.Neon. They take the top tier 1. They start to shut down the map. Their lead has widened to 9k. And Execration, we're starting to see some of those issues. Like, sure, maybe you might control out the puck. What do you do about the AM afterwards? Or conversely, if you control up the AM, how do you hold down the puck? Like, you can't handle all the heroes on OB.Neon at once from Execration's end. They need a little bit more, or they need to split these fights up. You need to split up the heroes, look for pickoffs, and just kind of go for the great team fight after getting the numbers advantage. Very hard to execute, though, as OB.Neon has been, for the most part, clumping up. They have been kind of realizing that this is their big spike. They're very strong, and they just play around with the control and the mobility they have on hand as a team.
Mid lane, Makoto, going to be spotted by Tino. Tino, go right into that tier 2 and clear out the creep wave. Meanwhile, Bob chains R out. He only got one. It is the Mirana. Xiao Yu going to jump in on the Keeper of the Light. Raging is in trouble, but Disruption will save. It's Tino still trying to chase. They do at least get Hustler down, but they've lost their Coddle. 458 takes care of it as Tino is just getting kited around on this Slark. He'll eventually pop the BKB and try to TP out, and he will make it. But it just feels like they haven't got the greatest tension in these team fights. There's just too much kiting going on by OB.Neon. They haven't got the lockdown for them.
Radiant's bottom
They
tower
need
is
to try again, splitting the fight up first. Catch out the stragglers who try to split farm, and punish OB.Neon for splitting up, even for just a moment. Much harder to execute than it is to tierize, so Execration's options are severely limited. I think you're starting to see the effect of just having the Coddle off lane compared to what we usually see, you know, something with a stun, something with teamfight potential. The Coddle just doesn't give you enough control. Your big AoE control is coming out from Rolling Thunder on BDZ, but the Fiend's grip is there to kind of hold him back. And if he's focused on with that grip, then your control disappears. You rely on chains, which isn't reliable at all, so it doesn't work out. And again, OB.Neon just dance around that. Look at 458. His Scotty's almost up. He's at 19k net worth, about 6k above Tino's Slark. That's not something that you can just shrug off as a Slark.
Oh, alright, he's not going to die. We'll be able to survive. It's now the Rolling Thunder. BDZ really just locking down 458. It won't be enough though. It just proves to be too tanky as Makoto still ends up fighting the Shadow Demon, and now Xiao Yu's in. They get a great silence off onto BDZ and Tino, and they're going to lose the Pango. They just can't fight. And they can chip away. Xiao Yu's going to try and walk out. Nice chains are there. However, you've got Genuel now moving in. Fiend's Grip is up and available. And that makes it a very scary kind of predicament if Execration were to keep going. Not to mention now, Aghanim Scepter on Hustler, and I Am Skadi available on 458.
The fights are just getting harder and harder for Execration. More stats on the AM to have to burst down. We saw Raging try to play that burst game on AM. He's not the target you can melt with Illuminate anymore.
Got the Ember. Bob is going to go down 458 to take another kill. Meanwhile, mid lane, Genuel, Fiend's Grip is there, but Tino, he got the Dark Pact off. Arrow is there. It will connect as Tino. He's just taking so much damage. He will eventually get the BKB off, but his team is just falling apart around him. Can he actually get anybody for all these deaths? Xiao Yu, he's in with the silence again. TP is not going to be successful as the arrow, it does land, and they've got Tino down. BDZ now getting tipped by Genuel, as it's a 1-for-4 trade and a 16k net worth lead for OB.Neon.
Yeah, Execration this game, they had an earlier timing that they had to meet. They had to play much faster with their Slurk, look for locking down the AM while he's just solo farming. They never managed to get that punishment off while 458 was playing down bot. They were chasing heroes elsewhere, and they were finding a couple of those kills, but not the kills that counted. Now, they're struggling to handle 458. They're starting to handle the burst damage coming through with that Ags on our Mirana and the Dagon level 4 on Mikato. Like, he's actually got a higher Dagon level than our Keeper of the Light. And there's just not enough room for Raging to play that burst game, because what target does he really burst? He can't burst down the AM because the magic resistance is too high. You could maybe go for the puck if you somehow lock him in, so that's the next issue. How do you jump and gap close a puck who's got good silence and mobility? Night Stalker's very tanky. The two supports can kind of save each other by just leaping out or just nightmare dodging some of that damage as well. So you're just not seeing the full value of the Coddle this time because you just don't have the damage. Like, the lineup of OB.Neon's tanky enough to ride through it. Execration will look for a smoke play. Bob is just going to stay out of the smoke and keep himself in lane. But OB.Neon are clumped up. If they can't manage to drag one hero out first, then I don't know if they can do it with a full 5v5.
Tino is going to start moving in on the Slark. Moonlight Shadow right in time. Dust is going to be popped. However, he misses the pounce, and now 458 can get to work. Xiao Yu, he'll go into the back. Looks like they already found the Shadow Demon. He'll disrupt. It may not be enough, though. It's 458. He's got BDZ down, and now they can really get to work. Bob is just going to try and remnant out of them. Meanwhile, the rest are just falling like flies. Makoto, he's going to find Raging. Bob's dropped. Tino's the only one left. And they found him. Makoto lands the silence. Xiao Yu is there with the crippling fear, and they got the Dagons out. And if you're Execration, you are definitely thinking about calling it right now. There's Raging. He's gonna buy back. It is 1 versus 5. Mind you, it is a keeper, so you could definitely think about defending. It looks like they are still gonna lose at least 1 lane of barracks, probably more like 2. 458. Alright, T4 Towers. Why the hell not?
Yeah, I think he realizes how strong he is. He does dip away at the end. Just get some chip damage. Hustler tips him for making that choice, as his attention was split. The rest of the team was working bot, but they do eventually find it. Respawns are lining up, so about only a 10-second window for them to really clean up here, but that's enough time. Can't go for the Mega C yet. BDZ.
Thunder off the mark, and now the Fiend's grip. Genuel just gonna turn right back. Oh boy. Unfortunate. OB.Neon, 2 racks is up. Execration, they won't call it, but they are 28k behind. This is just such a massive disadvantage.
Yeah, and that's not something you really want to deal with when you've got the Coddle core, right? Like, he does need a gold advantage. He needs to leverage the Illuminate. He wants the high-level Dagons. He wants to burst heroes down, but you just don't have the heroes to really do that on. And Roshan is open for the taken. Xiao Yu is already positioning himself in the right spot. They've got the wards watching the ramps. They've got the sentries as well, so they know where Tino's at. And they should be able to jump in.
Oh, immediately onto that Shadow Demon RR. He will survive Nightmare, though. They've got Tino. He's just locked down. He can't do anything to help out. He will eventually get out of it. But now the crippling fear is there, and he just can't do anything. 458 onto Raging Potato. They found the Keeper of the Light. And they're just diving. Straight to the tier 4 towers they go. 458. He went back to farm, as every carry does tend to do, but eventually will rejoin his team, and that'll be enough. They call it. They've seen enough in this game 1. OB.Neon looking very dominant to get this series started. We'll take the first game.
Yeah, great showing from OB.Neon. Going back to this AM last pick for 458 pays off massively. They saw the weaknesses in the draft of Execration. Going for the Keeper of the Light, flexing it onto the offlane, meant that they lacked control. They lacked a way of dealing with an AM in that game, because the offlane matchup, AM versus Keeper of the Light, sure, first 3 levels, let's say, feel really good for Kotl because you don't have the counter spell, you don't have the magic resist on the AM to really stand through the Illuminate. But once level 3, once level 4 is up with a value point in Blink, a value point in counter spell, you can't bully him out, and they just lack control. So heads up play from OB.Neon to kind of see that from the draft. Execration, we'll have to see what else they change up. I think the offlane Kotl's not quite the best lane for it. The matchup certainly didn't help, and we'll have to see if they can shake it off and look for the draw as you mentioned before, the draw they got last time against OB.Neon's new lineup.
Well, we'll head to a short break, and right after the break, we are going to be back with Game 2 between Execration and OB.Neon.